Good evening. I'd like to call to order the Concord Township Board of Trustees meeting for March 6th, 2024. If you would, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, moving into the meeting, roll call, please, Mr. Technip.
Mrs. Lucci?
Present.
Mr. McIntosh?
Present.
Mr. Dondorfer?
Present. Moving into the approval of minutes.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the minutes from February 21st, 24 regular trustee meeting as written.
And I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And moving into the elected officials reports, we will start with our fiscal officer, Mr. James Technip.
Thank you, Mr. Dondorfer. As of February 29th, we were 17% of the way through the calendar year. The treasury balance for the 20 funds within the township's treasury was $5.1 million after posting the advance of the first half real estate taxes. The remainder of the funds will be received in late March or early April from the tax advances. The treasury balance includes $1.2 million in funds set aside for specific purposes. Year-to-date revenues is 9.3% of the annual revenue budget. Lower than expected first half property taxes collections is due to a higher taxpayer usage of the monthly escrow payment plans, and this was per the auditor's office, Lake County Auditor's Office. It was a little bit, about $1 million less than we received last year, maybe 900,000. So it was significant, but we will receive those taxes throughout this first half apportionment, and it'll catch up even more as the year proceeds. Okay, it's mainly due to people paying mortgages and the escrow payments are on there. That was what the county said. So that is, I expected to have the revenues a little bit higher, closer to 17%. If we would have had that $1 million, we would have been above 17%. So, and furthermore, year-to-date expenditures were 17% of the 2024 annual appropriations. So we are well within the budget when we look at those parameters. And if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to call our office at 354-7516. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, and moving into the trustees' reports, Mrs. Lucci.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It was certainly nice to have some visitors at our office hours today. Thank you for coming. We chatted a little bit about some old properties, specifically Old Quail Hollow, and Mr. McIntosh offered some suggestions on what's going on. So thank you for being here and for asking questions. I did receive a few calls from residents regarding the News Herald article on our changes to our law enforcement contract, where we reduced the number of patrol deputies from 9 to 6. As we all know, safety services is foremost in our minds. We are actively looking for ways to remedy the situation. We need to support not only law enforcement, but our fire operations as well. We have a responsibility to protect our citizens, our businesses, and making sure we have adequate law enforcement presence, fire operations is crucial. We report every week that our 2016 safety services levy revenue does not sustain us because of inflation, increased costs for equipment and personnel. We feel the pressures every day from residents asking questions, from our staff, and we encourage more people to come and reach out and ask questions and kind of help us with those decisions that we need to make for later this year. Aside from that, I did have a resident ask about the new car wash and ice cream that's hopefully coming, I think, late summer. So that should be exciting. A few residents also reached out about the proposed development along Cryle and Hunting Lake. The next BZA meeting regarding that parcel is next week. We know residents have valid concerns. We know when it's property close to your home and you have concerns and questions, it's great to ask those, and no question is not stupid. So please come and ask questions at that meeting. We did have a staff meeting on Monday where we heard some updates. A highlight is, I think, the solar eclipse event that maybe our chief may be commenting on later in his report. Another highlight was from our rec department, and it was great to hear of all the many improvements in programs, community offerings, and the great work that you're doing, Sean. So kudos to you and your department. Aside from that, I hope everyone has a great week. We have St. Patrick's Day coming up, and don't forget to turn your clocks ahead this weekend.
It's this weekend already.
Yes.
I can't believe it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mrs. Lucci. Mr. McIntosh.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I know that the last couple of days we've had that Ellison Creek sewer issue burble back up. We've been keeping track of that, and Administrator Rose has been doing a great job working with the county and the residents. It's kind of an entangled situation there, but we're working on it. And I did have some emails about the Crowell Road, and it's I do know that that is going to go forward to the next hearing. And I know some people ask us questions directly, and I like to remind them the trustees don't make that. The BZA makes the decision as far as those variances if they're granted, and that's a final decision. The trustees don't get involved in that. So I know residents in the zoning department have heard, or BZA members have heard loud and clear a lot of the feedback. So I think, Mrs. Lucci, your comments are right. We always encourage people to come, and if you can't make it, submit your comments in writing. They will be read for the record. So look forward to getting that feedback and moving along. Had a meeting last week on the local government fund. That's that committee that I've been working with. Really some fantastic work. It's moving forward. Not much new to report, just that the group continues to work very diligently and I think very constructively. So it's proud to be part of that. And I have taken and answered a lot of questions about our safety forces. We've had a lot of people reach out to us just based on the grapevine, News Herald articles, all of it. And it's a trying situation. It's something that I know we've expressed multiple times we're concerned about. There's a lot of misunderstanding. Mrs. Lucci, you bring up the point that our budget has remained unchanged from 2016 when the last funding was set. It's also important to remind people that as new businesses and that come in, I mean, we answer this question a lot. The budget does not grow. You know, the amount that the township receives stays the same. What actually happens is the amount everybody pays shrinks, gets divided by more payers. So I think it's almost a mill less what people are paying about 3 mills for the 4 mill safety levy. So our budget is definitely not grown, and we've got all kinds of, I mean, I know that I've met with chief and deputy chief, and between apparatus and some of the equipment we need to replace in the next 5 years, we can expect another $1.5 million. And that's just cost inflation. That's not the cost of it. That's just what we've assessed has increased in cost over the last 2 years on heart rate monitors, radios, and the 3 vehicles we're planning to replace: the engine, the pumper, and the ambulance. So, and the cost of the contract, we've tried to contract with more police, and that 60% increase in that cost as well. So that's why we are where we are. And as Mrs. Lucci alluded to, and I think I mentioned before, the JED is working with a consulting group called Silverlode to do an assessment at the expense of the JED, to do an assessment of the Quail Hollow property, to take a look at what kind of zoning or what kind of development opportunities might be there. Tomorrow, the fire department is taking us and the consultants through the building, so we'll get to go in and kind of walk through, and they will be making an assessment on the viability of that. And is it a tear down or is it a repurposeful building? And this consulting group actually specializes in that kind of assessment. So we're really excited about that. And with that,
Thank you.
report.
I had a couple calls since our last meeting. One call was in regards to some illegal signage that was posted on a street in south end of Concord Township. That was increasing traffic to some new residential development that our zoning inspector and administrator handled. And I did also receive a couple calls regarding the safety, concerns within the township. Specifically, we've been focusing a lot on law enforcement. The callers indicated, are there going to be any cuts within the fire department? It might be good to go over those within a trustee meeting, and there are going to be cuts within the fire department. We had to reduce staffing at the fire department. We had process of reducing overtime. Operational expenses have been cut, and big capital expenditures, for equipment and things of that nature have been put on hold. So it's not just a law enforcement issue, it's also a fire department issue, and it encompasses all of our safety services within the township. And we've got some good, I think, momentum going as far as trying to engage the community and move forward so we can, satisfy where we need to be as far as our safety services. So with that, that's all I had, and we will move now into departmental reports with our administrator, Andy Rose.
Thank you, Mr. Dondorfer, members of the board, Mr. Technip, members of the audience, good evening. Two quick items on the agenda. Item A is a resolution 2024 tax 08 that grants permission to advertise for bids for some concrete replacement that the service director has scheduled for Discovery Lane. We will be utilizing TIF dollars for that. And item B is resolution 2024 tax 09. That is a resolution authorizing us to take the necessary steps to accept the annual NOPEC grant to the communities. We don't have the exact amount yet. We usually get that once we send in the resolution. I'd estimate it's probably about 40,000, but it's a nice grant for energy efficient items. We can use it for doors, roofs, insulation, windows, lighting, those types of things. So I would encourage a positive vote on both of those resolutions. As Mr. McIntosh mentioned, I'm continuing to work the sanitary sewer issue on Ellison Creek. And then, as part of the finishing up the punch list items at Station 1, Chief and I will be going over a few things. We have a meeting on Friday morning with the architect and our owner's rep just to go over a few of the lingering items that need to get cleaned up for Fire Station 1. That concludes my report. Short today.
Thank you. Fire Department, Chief Sabo.
Good evening, everyone.
Evening.
So for the month of February, we responded to 231 incidents. We had 160 EMS events with 131 transports to local hospitals, 71 non-EMS events. We did have 7 fire events. Inside of Concord, we had 1 vehicle fire. Outside of Concord, we assisted with 1 vehicle fire that could have extended to a building fire, but we were able to put it at bay pretty quickly. 3 structure fires and 2 grass fires. We assisted with mutual aid 19 times. We received mutual aid 11 times. And our overlapping call volume was 74 for 32% of our calls for the month of February. Fire Prevention Bureau completed 57 total inspections, accounting for about 86 hours, and completed 3 plan reviews for new businesses and development, that kind of stuff. They also completed 20 hours of continuing education, and they also hosted the Lake County Fire Prevention Association meeting at Station 1 with training on fire code, emergency planning, underground fire water supply lines. So it was nice to host that in the new station. They attended the Fire Inspector Safety Forum from the Ohio Fire Academy. So I know they came back with some great knowledge from that conference, as we always do. We also assisted in fire investigations. We assisted Perry on 1 fire investigation. We were busy with public education. On February 16th, we had several Riverside High School students in for first aid training and national certification on Stop the Bleed. So that was nice. On February 20th, Concord Cub Scouts, we went over home fire safety, first aid, and gave them a tour of the new firehouse. On February 27th, they completed 2 hours of training for 34 employees at Vista Springs, fire safety response and fire extinguishers. And again, on February 28th, the Riverside High School students came back to learn about historic fires that created the fire code. So that was a kind of a blast from the past, and fire systems at the new station and sprinkler system, fire pump, fire alarm, hood extinguishing system. So we're able to use the features in our fire station to train new people on fire pumps, sprinkler systems, fire alarms, and it's all right here for us to use as training. So it's been kind of nice. We installed 2 residential lock boxes and had 2 returned. And as mentioned, so we've been working with, the fire department's been working very closely with Lake County on solar eclipse emergency planning. We do expect, one while we don't expect the initial number of response into the community, they were expecting it to quadruple, Lake County's census to quadruple for that weekend. We're still planning as if it is. So some of the agencies that are participating in this planning from, the Emergency Management Agency under Director Busher is taking the lead on this. But fire chiefs, police chiefs, ODNR, Lake Metro Parks, the hospitals, of course, and that's one of our major concern is just making sure people have access, including us, to the hospital if there's a gridlock situation. So there's many more people involved in this planning. ODOT's one of them, so they can help with traffic control. So we've been working on this for many months. And I think that's something that people don't realize. There's a lot more that goes on in the firehouse behind the scenes. We don't just respond to emergencies. That's the popular thing that we do, and that's the most common thing that people see. But behind the scenes, even for our own Concord Community Days, we build up a incident action plan should something go wrong. So a lot of our time is spent in emergency planning for our community and making sure we're safe and we know what we're going to do when something goes wrong. So that's been taking up quite a bit of our time. I do want to thank the trustees, and I know it gets confusing when we say we're cutting staffing, but we just swore in 3 firefighters and asked for approval to add more, so it does get confusing. What we're seeing in the fire department is, because we're a combination department, we have full-time, we have part-time. The guys that are coming in part-time, I was there. I was a part-timer, and I was taking test after test after test until I can get that full-time job. Fortunately, I landed here. Right now, many of our part-time firefighters that are younger and hungry for a job full-time are getting picked up by full-time jobs. So that leaves us short. And so what we're bringing on is not additional staff. This is all through attrition. Not all, and when they leave, we hope that they're still going to stay with us part-time, but we're never going to realize the amount of hours that they're working. One guy averages about 168 hours a month. We'll be happy if we see him 48 hours a month with his new full-time job. So it limits his availability to us because of his full-time obligation. So we want nothing more to see them come back. In the last round of full-time hires, all 4 they left their full-time job to come for an opportunity to work here in Concord. So that says a lot about the culture that we've built, and that we're going to fight to keep, and we're going to get through this hurdle, and but we appreciate all the guys sticking with us and sticking by us and being patient through this. And you have questions for me?
Oh, I think we're good.
All right, well, thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Service Department, Tim Brown.
Thanks.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
The Service Department in the month of February responded to 2 snow call events, applying approximately 180 tons of salt. Crews also worked to refurbish 2 of our equipment trailers and installed an aluminum flatbed on an F-250 pickup. Additionally, with the mild weather, crews have been out performing ditch maintenance and culvert replacements, along with pothole patching and evaluating the roads for the upcoming construction season. April 1st, the yard waste drop-off will reopen. Residents are reminded that all yard waste must be in paper biodegradable bags. The drop-off will be open Monday through Friday from 7:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. and drop-off will close on June 3rd at 2:30 p.m. The Service Department continues to work with Lake County Stormwater Department to improve and maintain stormwater mitigation throughout the township. Maintenance of detention easements, drainage easements, and erosion repairs are some of the projects we are currently working on. The Service Department encourages residents with questions, concerns to contact us at 440-350-3225 or by email at concordtwp.com under service. We hope residents have a safe and healthy spring, and a reminder to everyone to slow down and move over when approaching work zones and emergency scenes. That concludes my report.
Thanks, Tim.
Thank you. Thanks.
Moving on to our zoning department.
Not Administrator Rose, I'm thinking.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a
I was gonna
typo
say,
from
look
last
at
week,
that,
and I
Heather.
apologize to Heather.
Come on up.
I just saw that.
I'm looking at
Yeah,
that like, I'm not gonna.
That's a care.
Oh, I guess Andy's gonna do my
testing
report.
me.
Cool.
I think he's testing.
She does a
me.
much better job than I do.
Just brief as usual. Thank you. Good evening. During the month of February, the zoning department staff processed 26 zoning permit applications and collected just under $4,000 in fees. Additionally, staff was busy performing inspections and completed 67 property inspections with open zoning permits and issued 18 zoning certificate of compliances. We also received and followed up on 9 new complaints about potential zoning violations. As mentioned previously, the Board of Zoning Appeals will hold a regular meeting next Wednesday at 7 o'clock. The detailed agenda may be found on the township website under the public meetings. And should residents have any questions or concerns, please reach out to the zoning department for any assistance. Thank you.
Thanks, Heather. Thank you. Rec Department, Sean Supler.
Good evening, everyone. We hope that everyone received their spring summer grapevine and enjoyed this version. We switched to 2 grapevines this year, just so everyone knows. We'll have a spring summer one, obviously, that just came out, and then the next one will be released in September, and that will cover mid-September through February. So every 6 months, you'll now receive a printed grapevine. I just want to say thanks to the department heads for getting all their articles in and being able to adjust those to include the 6 months timeline that we are now facing. Special thanks to Susie and Rachel in the rec department for all the work they did and helping to get that together, programming 6 months worth of activities and concert series and community days and all that kind of stuff. It takes a lot of time and effort, and we were able to get that done ahead of our original schedule. So just a few programs to make note that took place in February, both in our 55 plus. February 13th, we had our Mardi Gras potluck luncheon. We had 45 people attend that. We supplied jambalaya and some desserts, and then everyone else brought a dish to share. I just want to say thanks to Angel Isofano with Getaway Catering for supplying the jambalaya. And then February 28th, we had our heart theme bingo in conjunction with University Hospitals and Lake Health. They sponsored the event. We had 60 seniors there for that. And they supplied boxed lunches for everyone, as well as blood pressure checks, and had other giveaways. That was all part of their healthy heart and stroke prevention for that event. So it was good. Now for our upcoming events, today we had Women History, Josephine Baker, presented by Susan Canavino. March 14th is our AARP driver safety course, learn tips to keep you safe on the road. Our foot care clinic that we've been doing with Dr. Saxon, those have been going very well. His one in March 18th is actually full. We have 9 people signed up for that, so the schedule is completely full for that one. So that's really growing very rapidly for us. So Tuesday, March 19th, we're doing March into Spring tasting with Morley Library. March 20th is a birding program with Lake Metro Parks. March 27th is a spring cleaning themed bingo. And a couple programs in April that we're doing that I know have become very popular. We're doing with part of our Library Tuesday with Mentor Public Library. April 9th is learn how to use your Android phone. And then April 23rd is learn how to use your iPhone. So those programs are coming up. Now for our normal programming, our Mind and Body Martial Arts on Tuesdays and Thursdays at the Community Center. The first month is free for anyone that would like to join or try that out. Our Kids Dances class, they begin, our spring session starts Thursday, March 21st, every Thursday, for ages 2 to 8-year-olds. Our extremely popular Rookie Sports programs are coming up, and those are actually starting to fill up very rapidly. Wednesdays, April 10th to May 8th is soccer for ages 3 to 4 and 5 to 6. And then Tuesdays, July 11th to August 16th is T-ball and coach pitch. We're doing a new program taught by a Concord resident called Thrive, and that will be on Tuesdays. That'll be April 9th to the 30th from 5:30 to 6:15, and that one's for ages 2 to 4. And then May 7th to the 28th is for ages 5 through 8. And those will be on Thursdays at the community center. I'm sorry, Tuesdays at the community center. And then Thursdays, we're actually going to switch those to the summertime on Thursdays, and those are going to be right out here at Town Hall during the concert series. So we'll kind of give parents a little activity for kids to do while they come up and enjoy the concert. So our adult classes, we have our gentle yogas on Tuesdays and Thursday mornings, taught by Melissa Hopper. It's from 9 to 10:15. And then directly after that is chair yoga from 10:30 to 11:15. Gentle yoga on Monday nights by Colleen Stone is 5:30 to 6:30, and the Pilates fusion on Wednesdays taught by Colleen from 5:30 to 6:30. We have a new class called Intro to the Jitterbug. Thinking hopefully we can get Mr. Brown signed up for that with his lovely wife. This class goes over basic steps and moves of the dance. It's an introductory class. We already have 5 couples signed up for that, so that one is going, so that's a good little starter class there. We have Let's Cook with LaDonna. This month, March 21st, is sweet and sour cauliflower. Our adaptive rec programs for the month coming up are special needs programming. We have a make and take Easter soaps on Monday, March 11th. March 15th, Friday is our St. Patrick's Day dance. That's from 6 to 8. And I just want to point our one class in April is April 9th. That's a canvas painting class with Ariel Inspired Studio, which is a studio in Painesville, but will be held at the community center. And finally, our special events coming up. Our big one is Saturday, March 23rd at 10 o'clock. This is the Easter egg hunt and party, and that will be held at the community center this year. It will not be at Town Hall. It will be at the community center. With it being a little bit, Easter being a little early this year, we're going to give ourselves a little indoor capabilities if the weather's bad. So check the website. You'll see actually a link directly to the Easter egg hunt, and that will give you a map that we came up with that has plenty of parking locations. And we're working with Lake trying to get a transportation mobile as well to get people from UH Hospital to the community center. So our Concord photo contest submissions are currently going on. That goes till April 3rd. We have categories that include nature, places, people, black and white, and unique Concord scenes. Submissions can be made directly on the registration page, or if you contact us, we can help you with that as well. The indoor garage sale runs Friday, April 12th from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. and Saturday the 13th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Admission is free, and we currently only have 2 vendor spots left. So if you're interested in being a vendor, give us a call and we will get you registered for that. Our 2 programs that we do with our town administrator that have been very successful so far. Our Coffee with the Administrator has really turned into a popular program with Mr. Rose. Our next scheduled one is for Thursday, March 28th, and those are held on the 4th Thursday of every month. And then a new program that that Mr. Rose came up with, Understanding Your Taxes. That will be held on Tuesday, April 2nd from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. or 6 to 8 p.m. that day, or the same times on April 10th, where Andy will cover topics on how your property tax is distributed in the county, along with allocation of your tax dollars coming in Concord, inside versus outside millage, the impact of House Bill 920, and clearing up the myths. So we are looking forward to Mr. Rose having those. We encourage everyone to continue signing up for the e-grapevine. Everyone has been doing a really good job with that. We have added 333 emails over the last 90 days, which has now brought us over 3,000. We're at 3,042 emails, which is a great number, and an open rate of 60%, which is extremely high. So everyone's reading those. So please make sure you do that. And then there's 2 POs that are on the agenda that I look for favorable votes. F is for an amount of $11,176 to Bright Ideas Shops. They're actually a company out of Akron, and they're going to do some picnic tables for us that we're going to put at the new community center patio, as well as up here at Town Hall. And G is a PO for $11,500, and that's for our American fireworks for Community Days. Outside of that, please make sure you read the grapevine and look for our schedules for our concert series and community days, and we'll have a lot more information about that to everyone soon. So,
Thank you.
sorry for my little
No.
longer report, but
A lot
thank
of
you very
programming,
much.
a lot of programming
Thank you.
going on in rec.
Great job.
Very busy. Okay, moving on to law enforcement. We have Captain Patterson here this evening from the Sheriff's Office. Welcome.
Good evening. So the month of February generated 979 calls for service in Concord. Accidents, we had 2 injury accidents and 7 damage accidents. Arrests, we had a total of 8. 3 of those were warrant arrests. We had a felony drug arrest for possession of controlled substance that was a result of a traffic stop on I-90 at the 203 mile post. We also had another felony drug arrest as a result of a traffic stop from State Route 44, the intersection of State Route 84. There was a domestic arrest, a domestic violence arrest from Old Johnny Cake Road. On Auburn Road, we got called to the hospital for a disorderly female. She was arrested for disorderly conduct. We had an adult male arrested for OVI on Prouty Road. Some of the traffic stats, traffic matters, we had handled 30 citations, and I'll point out 11 of those were driving under suspension. Seems to be a little bit of an uptick with that lately. We also issued 201 written traffic warnings for offenses. Business checks, we stopped at 50. Crime prevention, we were able to come up with 48 incidents where we stopped in and checked on construction sites, and also made some added patrols to areas. I'm going to cover some of the numbers here from the other stats. Animal complaints, 15. Total on disabled vehicle assists were 18. Covered 14 disturbances. DOA death investigations, we had 3. 8 domestic violence cases. 2 drug complaints / investigations. We had 6 mental health matters. A stolen vehicle, I will point out, this was at the Ridge Glen condominiums. It was an overnight event incident. We did work with the victim at the time of the report in the morning hours. It was very soon after, I want to say about 3 hours from the time it was reported. We did have the vehicle recovered. Flock cameras in Cleveland were a part of that, as well as Sirius XM radio also assisted in that case. So we will make sure that Concord car is getting through Ridge Glen more frequent. I believe it was January. We had a similar attempt, but the vehicle was not taken, but it was broken into. Both cases, they had smashed windows. So we'll keep an eye on that. Let's see here. We had a vandalism to a vehicle on Brightwood. We had 30 suspicious circumstance matters, 14 thefts reported, and 13 welfare checks. I don't have too much in the way of extra. I would like to comment that we're making some good headway with training thus far in the first quarter. All our deputies have been through the annual trainings for use of force, search and seizure, as well as their research for TASER recertification. We also did a department-wide supervisory training that's annual. That's encompassing the dispatch center, our administrative support services, our corrections, and our road patrol supervisors. So that went really well. We are making great use of the new public safety training center, which is truly a blessing. I mean, after all these years, it's such a nice facility to be able to lock down some very nice training. I would like to mention Sheriff's Office as well has been busy in planning and for public safety, planning for the total solar eclipse. Obviously, as the fire chief mentioned, working with EMA on that and attending those meetings, also holding some internal meetings for that and working with the county entities on that. And finally, St. Patty's Day approaches, so we just would like to just reiterate that we celebrate responsibly, and enjoy the holiday. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Captain.
Thank you.
That concludes our departmental reports, and we will move into the audience portion of the meeting. If anyone would like to step up to the podium and address the board, feel free to do so and state your name and address, please. Okay, seeing that no one in the audience is coming forward, we will move on to old business. Seeing that we have none, we will move into the new business portion of the meeting.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve resolution 2024-8, Service Department permission to have Lake County Engineers Office advertise for bids on concrete replacement for Discovery Lane.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve Resolution 2024-09, a resolution authorizing all actions necessary to accept Northeast Ohio Public Energy Council Energized Community Grants.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve Service Department permission to advertise for the 2024 stone, cement, concrete, and limestone bids.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye. Mr. Chair, I move to approve the Service Department increased clothing allowance for Service Department personnel from $200 annually to $250 annually.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve Fire Department purchase order to Countryside Truck Service in the amount of $40,000 for annual maintenance.
And I second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye. Mr. Chair, I move to approve the Rec Department's purchase order in the amount of $11,176 to Bright Idea Shop for picnic tables.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve Rec Department PO in the amount of $1,500 to American Fireworks for 2024 Community Day fireworks display.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, that concludes our new business, and we will move into the future meetings and announcements. Mr. Technip.
Thank you, Mr. Dondorfer. On March 13th at 7 p.m., a BZA meeting will be held at Town Hall. On March 15th at 8 a.m. in the morning, a JED meeting will be held at Town Hall. On March 20th from 6:30 to 7:30 p.m., a trustee office hours will be held in the conference room at Town Hall. And finally, on March 20th, after the trustee office hours, will be a trustee meeting held at 7:30 at Town Hall.
Thank you, Mr. Technip. That concludes our trustee meeting this evening. Good evening, Concord Township, and have a good night.
Thank you. Good night.